Great. Okay, no. Let's go. Right. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Okay, we'll just look up a little bit. Yeah, let's find a balance for the book. And feet find the floor, bringing the heels up and down. Right, shifting the weight front and back. Just really playing with rolling through the feet. Toes to heel. Side to side. And just playing good, just focusing on the feet a little bit, rolling side to side with the feet as well. Inside edge, outside edge. So. Just think about planting the feet a little bit. Play with the rib cage, kind of opening up a little bit more to the side. Just gently using the elbows to mobilize that line. Great. And then just open a little bit more with the arms. Yeah, mobilize. And then just releasing the arms into a rotation. Just play a little bit with the head in this case. There's a few things you can do. You can let the head follow the body, and kind of is the most natural, following the spine. You can let it stay neutral, kind of looking forward. You can do the opposite, like let it look the other way. So you're rotating one way and turning to face the other. Just explore it a little bit. Just you'll have a neck and head feel with that movement. Don't do anything that's going to stress it, but go with the movement. You kind of keep the head neutral. Or we can go in the opposite way. Okay, we're going to open and close. So just playing with the feet again. Let them really open, kind of turn in, and then really turn out. Feel that the hips are kind of pulling the feet in, and then pulling the feet out. So. And then allow the foot to settle. Do the same motion. Think about a little bit like the closing motion, like you're trying to pull the ground together, and the opening motion, like you're trying to spread the ground apart. But don't move the feet. Just think about a kind of isometric pulling in and pulling out. Try and avoid, especially as you close, try and avoid the knees kind of wanting to kind of collapse in. Think about just closing the hip in and then wrapping the leg in. So there's a sense of the structure of the leg still sound. Same on the outside, don't let the knee kind of spread too wide. But play with the sense you can squeeze the ground together, pull it apart. Squeeze the ground together, pull it apart. As you do it, just listen to what's happening in the feet. You might feel different or weight distribution on the inside edges, the outside edges, depending on the movement. Just listen to what happens as you do that. Shift. So, perfect, good. And then just work with the arms into it. So just roll into the spine a little bit more. Find a way through the movement. And just play a little bit with the ground contact. So essentially kind of pull the ground in, pull the ground apart. Or just leaving it kind of neutral, just allowing the feet to settle. And then if you're working with a weight this way, just think about rolling it backwards, kind of the other way. So it's a little bit more of a kind of back bend into it and rolling through. So there's a little bit more. The wave down is going to be during a kind of extension of the spine. Yeah, and then a curl up. Extension down, and then a curl up. Yeah. And then just play with that wave, just letting it go into one side, the body, and then rolling back to the other. And just listen to the feet, just play with a little bit without moving them. A little bit more weight going to one side, the other. Allow the body to rock front and back, side to side. A little bit rotating. Allow the feet to mobilize, but try and stay in the spot with it. So you've got a little bit of a restraint on the movement, but explore different qualities of movement. Good, very good. 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 Great, and then just taking it into a breath in. Nice deep breath in. Reaching up, hinging down. Nice long exhale. Okay, then up through the center line. Yeah, just run through one more time. Now just a couple of spine hangs, just bringing the arms up. And the side, zipping through the body, down, releasing the spine, keeping the spine piece. And when you get to the ground, just play with an impulse through the body. Coming up. And one more time. And drawing it. Good. And just take a breath at the top. Good. Okay, we go. Just go straight into a little bit of foundation training work. So find a lunge position, not too long. In this case, think about the hips being square on. So if you just kind of place the hands at the hips with the thumbs forward, this should both be kind of pointing forward rather than that position. Yeah, I would just do a few kind of deep breaths with it. Play with either this position, or I'm just playing with, at the moment, this position just on the rib cage. So think of kind of flaring the ribs out and expanding up as you breathe in deep. And as you breathe out, try and maintain that space as much as you can, as long as you can through the breath. So deep breath in, really active with the neck. And then deep breath out. You go in, so deep breath. Now, just taking the hands out to the side, kind of pin the palms at the outside edge of the hand to the thigh, and just play over here, rolling the hand back, rolling the hand and the shoulders back, and pulling the body up wide and tall. Okay, and then just play with the breath again. So elbows are slightly pulled back, deeply in, and fully out. And you can just play with that kind of roll of the shoulder back, pulling the hands wide and pressing them a little bit into the thigh. Couple of deep breaths here. Great, just keeping the hands at the hips now, like you're kind of chopping into the hip. Just play first with this, which is you're going to kind of pull the legs together, so as if you're again trying to pull the back leg in and pull the front leg back. So the back toes are kind of aiming towards the front heel. And just that sense you're kind of scissoring the legs, trying to close them together. Again, not moving the feet, just kind of isometric holding. The breath here. Get slightly release that feeling, and then just play with the hip, just rolling over that front foot. So it's just going to kind of come forward and over. Forward and over. You can just listen to the breath as you do it. Keep the breast nice and big, keep the rib cage nice and tall. Back of the neck, head nice and long. And you're just allowing the weight to shift about 60–70% of the weight kind of going forward. Really pressing into that front leg. Let the foot be wide. Good. Great. So we'll start nice and easy just there. Pulling back, switch the leg. And again, we'll just go straight into that. So just find that little bit of a bounce through the lunge position. Hands on hips and just transferring the weight over. Just transferring the weight. And again, just do a few focused breaths as you do it. Pulling in, pulling out. If you kind of feel that the body starts to kind of wobble a little bit, again, go back to that sense of you kind of pulling, scissoring the legs together, pulling the feet towards each other, and then go into that position. And just feel what that kind of tensioning does in the leg. And the main thing is just feeling comfortable that the foot can take the weight. Hip, knee adjusts naturally. And it just follows the line of the toes. Great. Good. So this is a little bit of a hip routine. So you're going to go now into a wide position. We're going to go into squat. So let the toes point out a little bit. Again, chopping with the hips. Think about just chopping them back and then sitting down into the feet. And then just pressure up through the feet. So it's like a two-stage squat. You go a little bit back and then a little bit down. And you're around about 90 degrees with the legs, not any deeper. Pulling back, chopping back, and then coming down. Just look as you do this, just the first few, look down with it, but just check the knees. What you don't want in this case is the knees to really come forward a lot. As if there's a little bit of a pressure in the knee. And as you go back, the knees just kind of stay, hold that position. So they're not going forward with the toes, basically, but don't take it down too far where you feel that the knees have to kind of flex forward. So pulling the chopping down, coming back, pressing up. Good. Chopping back, sitting in, coming up. Good. Perfect. Good. And then just play with the hands here. So as you go down now, let the hands reach out. Find that sphere, pressing the fingertips together, and then pull back up. Chop back, roll out. And it's a nice one, you can kind of use the inside of the thigh to kind of roll the hands out. And the key thing is always with the shoulders, you want them really down, back into the body. So feel that you're kind of shrugging the shoulders down a little bit as you reach out. Good. And then one more, just to open the hip as you come down now, just hold that position. And just play a little bit, shifting the weight one side, shifting the weight the other. And there's a little bit, if you want to play with this, it's like you triangulate the hip back. So rather than just shifting the hip over, what I do is just gently pull the hip back. It's a little bit like there's an open drawer behind me, and I'm kind of shifting the butt to close it. So there's like a drawer open, and I kind of shift back a little bit. So it's a little bit of a triangulation with the hip. Pull back to center. Pull back to center. And just play with the arms, how they kind of move with that. Slight change in the structure. Good. Good. And then what you do is just release the arms, just let them kind of brush the ground a little bit. Really find the feet, so step again into the feet. And just play with again the kind of the sense that you can either spread the ground away or pull the ground together, whichever kind of feels more strong. And then just allow the arms to release. Sit into it. You're going to spear the fingertips into the ground, no real weight in them, and then just think we'll do a couple here, nice and slow, raising, reaching up, and reaching high. So you go palm side up, reach up, hold it, a couple of breaths. Nice deep breath in. Next breath out, just pull the arm back. Refine the feet, refine that kind of anchor in the feet, and then reach the other hand up. And away. As a flying root down. Reach palm side up, reach as high as you can. Yeah. And then pull it back. And then press into the shin bone. Brace the back a little bit. And then think that you're pulling the chest away from the ground. Press into the feet, press into the feet, press into the feet, press into the feet. And pull the body up. Relax the legs. Shake them out a little bit. Wherever you feel tension, just release. Fix the lower back. Just shake that a little bit. Okay. Good. We're going to go back to that lunge position. So find that position here. Go a little bit wider than before. Again, just play with the sense that there's a little bit of a bounce in the leg. Feel really the back side of the legs, the key. And hear that sense again that you're kind of scissoring the legs in. Take the back hand and just think about this time rotating through it. Okay, so you're going to kind of roll through, shift away from that leg, and reach forward. In this case, you're just coming slightly off the center line. So rather than kind of reaching directly forward, think about a kind of natural shift, which is going to kind of happen just off the center line. Yeah, reaching forward, pulling back. Reaching forward, pulling back. And have a kind of equal kind of tensioning into the movement as out of it. So one image which is quite nice is if you're kind of going to reach a rope, and then you're pulling the rope back with the body. Going out, reaching for it, and then kind of pulling back. Pulling back. There we go. Nice. Great. Very nice. Good. And then find that position, bring the other hand into it. Just hold it there, a couple of deep breaths. Think about when you breathe in, think about kind of pulling the hands forward a little bit. And as you breathe out, think about the hip kind of settling down a little bit more. So breathe, reach out a little bit more. And as you exhale, let yourself kind of settle up a little bit more into the foot. Let the hip travel back a little bit more. And if it feels comfortable, just play with a little bit of a spiral underneath. So the back hand's going to kind of spiral palm up, and the front hand's going to spiral palm down. And just a couple of deep breaths. Feel the hip. Feel that balance in the front leg. You release back to center, pull yourself back up, and then raise the hands up just in front of the head so that they're level just with the forehead, not over the top in this case. Couple of deep breaths here. So the weight's 50-50 now between the 2 feet, and then think about spiraling up to the top. So from the back hip, reaching right up, open up the body. And again, think a little bit like you're reaching up as you breathe in, a little bit expanding up. And as you breathe out, think about settling down the hip. Release it, pull back to center, and we'll do the same thing with the legs. So again, just find a little bit of a wider lunge. Position here. Then a little bit of a bounce again through the legs, and then just again, allow the arm to just swing through. And again, you're playing with the weight coming in, around about 80% now of the weight in the front leg. And adding a little bit of a off-center movement. Reaching forward, keeping the spine long. Back. And again, that same kind of tensioning in and out of the movement. So again, if you want to play with the legs, that sense you kind of pull the legs together, scissor them towards the ground. And then keeping the breath big all the time. And then last one, leave the hand where it is, and then bring the other hand in. Find that sphere, really pressing the fingertips together. And again, with the breath, think about a little bit lengthening out forwards. And as you breathe out, think about pulling the hip back slightly. And again, if it feels comfortable, just take it into a little bit more of a spiral, letting the palms rotate. Back hip rotates towards the front hip. Pulling back to center. Just find that position here. Reach the hands up, just float them above the forehead. Deep breath in, and if it feels comfortable, just take it into a gentle spiral, reaching up to the top. Think about the fingertips and the back heel kind of pulling gently away from each other, creating that spiral line. And then release it. Release the arms, get rid of the fly, and shake it out a little bit. Shake out the legs, shake out the arms a little bit. Good. We'll do just one more, which is go as wide as you can, wide leg position. So this is just a windmill, but it's just half of it. So again, it's really for the hips. Just play with a chop of the hip here. Now just play with sending one hand down, so you're going to spear it towards the ground and just reaching down to the ground. Play with this case, you can go for the center line, right between the feet, or you can go just a little bit off. You could take it all the way to the foot, but it might be a little bit of a too much of a stretch in this case. So just play with coming down, spearing the hand down, pulling it back up. Really feel there's an adjustment in the hip. So rather than just the hand reaches down and the body does it, just going to put a load of pressure on the spine. Think about the hips creating the movement, and then the hips pulling the body back, pulling the hand back. So it looks like an arm movement, but you're trying to really get the hip creating the movement on both sides of it, pulling it down, pulling it up. Great. Good. That's that. Very nice. Great. And then one more, just spear it into the ground. Let the other hand come up and just play with the other hand. Just somewhere around the shoulder region, and then opening out to the other shoulder. So the thumb's just going to kind of trace from one shoulder to the other. So it's just focusing on that, opening the spine up a little bit, thoracic spine. But again, try and feel that the hips engage the movement and engage it back. So they engage you into it, and they engage you out of it. Just tracing along the shoulder. And then the last one here, if it feels comfortable, reach the hand up to the ceiling. And then the last thing to play with is just the head, just looking up, looking down. Think about a little bit of tension through the head and the neck. A couple of deep breaths as you do it. And release that hand down. Reach the other hand into the ground. We do the same thing, just tracing up across the shoulder. And really feel you're in the feet. The hip creates that motion. Great. Just a few more. And then again, if it's comfortable, reach the hand up and just look either way, up and down. Couple of deep breaths. Release it, bring both hands to the ground and just release the spine a little bit down. Walk the hands forward a touch. Feel this length coming into the spine, and then just think about dragging the arms back to the feet. Going to the feet, and then find the shin bone, pull the back along, and then again, just pulling the chest up out of the ground. There, and then walk the feet back together. Shake everything out. Good. So that's a not quite short routine, but this is really for the hips, to kind of open the hips out a little bit. Just release out the wrist a little bit. And we'll go into some weapon work. And the arms. Let out a little bit more. And really release the hip. Yeah, strengthen the feet, shake everything out. And just play kind of rolling a little bit through the shoulders and hips. Let the arms follow it, just take into a little bit of a figure eight. And then just releasing the arms down. Like the swing, but just a little bit less. Just focus on releasing the shoulders. And a little bit over the sides. And then the last one, a little bit front and back. And just slowly letting the arms come back down to the side of the body. And just feel the kind of heavy, relaxed at the side. Okay, grab a jar. We're going to look at some booty. Okay, so we'll just look at some of the key ones, but we'll start obviously with the ski. So just using this word now with the hips and the shoulders. Think about finding the ground here with the feet and just kind of roll through it. So that nice basic movement, just a swing through. The first check with this is just feel the ground contact with the feet and just feel that the knees can soften into the ground. So the main thing that you want to avoid is as you shift forward, the legs wants to kind of straighten. So just find a position with the legs where both knees can stay released all the time. Really draining down. A little bit of a shift of the weight each time, but nothing massive. Good. And then the next step, just look really at the backhand, so backhand, back arm. Just really allow it to really explore this arc. So exaggerate it a little bit. Really play with letting the shoulders swing freely. And the key thing here is that there's no kind of block from the body in terms of that angle, so the hand can just really pass through that motion. That's it. And then the next shape, look at the other arm. The tendency with this is that the arm kind of pulls back and then goes forward. So if this hand's too tight, it starts kind of do this, which is puts this arm in a really bad position in this case. So just play with that arm being free, and it's just going to kind of allow that movement. So it does a little bit of a drop. But the key thing is that the shoulders are kind of drop and pull you out of structure here. So if you think about the level here of the shoulder, you don't want this kind of level. You want to kind of maintain something more on a parallel with the hip. And just allow that front shoulder to soften just enough so that it can feed, the jaw can feed through the hand. Good. And then the last one's for the head. So just think about the kind of line again that we were working with yesterday with the bokken. Fix a kind of line on the wall and really allow the eyes to just settle towards it. So the main thing, you don't want to kind of create a lot of tension in the neck as you do this, but you also don't want to kind of look away from it. So the natural position for the head here will be like this, but I somehow need to find that the body can adjust and allow the head to fix forward, basically. So you're not totally forward with it, creating a lot of stress. You're side on facing with it. But again, just allow yourself to focus and focus on a point that's not where the jaw is actually going. So there is a point just above it. So the jaw is just in the peripheral, or the jaw is really in the peripheral vision. Different stages, it's a little bit further away. Just allow yourself to find a real focus point. And then just allow them naturally, with that focus now, to come into a little bit of a snap at the end of it. So release and snap. And again, just play with it. Sometimes kind of go into a focus, ski. Sometimes just kind of flow in and out of it. But the key thing now is that tracking to the line. And you're tracking with the feet, tracking with the arms, you're tracking with the jaw, and tracking with the head and the eyes. So, very good. And then just allow the feet to release up. Again, find that line, draw towards it, and then come out. And do everything in relation to that line. So you're going in, focusing, and then coming back. In, focus, pull back. In, focus, pull back. Great. So there's one thing that's been coming up recently, which is like focus and distraction and all this kind of thing. So it's like a huge topic in terms of martial arts and life in general. But do this. We're going to switch sides each time. We won't go through that progression, but fix a point on the wall. I've got a fly on the wall, which is really great. Fly on the wall and really do everything towards it. And when you notice, for example, so I've got the fly, I've got the ski, and the moment I go jump away, pull out and switch the side, and then try and really find again that target on the other side. So do as many thrusts on one side as you can kind of keep a really kind of optimal focus. As soon as you feel like you get distracted or like energetically you drop, switch the side, start again, and try a few there. So have a really clear target. That's the kind of key with this. And allow the eyes to kind of just settle on it. So it's not a kind of laser beam focus, but it's a kind of letting the eyes kind of drop onto it. It can be something. But the key things have a really, something really easy to focus on. It's very clear when that kind of drops. If you can maintain that for like 50, 100 𝘭𝘪𝘴, that's a really great sign. Good. Great, and then change the practice so it's going to be like this again with a clear focus. The fly's still on the wall, so I can focus on it. He's like this, go thrust in and then change. And as you change, really again, notice that it's very easy now to start to kind of drift off, go somewhere else. So focus now on this one here, shift, change, keeping it in focus here, and then in, and then shift, keep it in focus. And the same, this is as soon as you feel you kind of lose it, pull yourself right back out of it. So really pull out and then come back in. Yeah, find the focus. Keep it. Keep it. And just try and maintain it as long as you can. And when it goes, just drop it. So there's two things. Whenever, especially this is more noticeable in dojo, but I do this practice in the dojo, and generally people never stop, which means either they're really focused or they're really not sensitive to the distraction, right? So really be like, I'm really like harsh on myself in this case. So I go like, and here, and then a dog box. Then it pulls my attention. Even if I keep the form, it's pulled me out. So I really just pull myself out of it. So as I go, come back, give yourself a bit of a pause, and then come back into it. Generally, like really clear, strong attention, you can probably hold it for maybe like 40 seconds, a minute. If you can hold it much longer, really good. But I'm not so good at that. Really, you get distracted a lot. Really allow yourself to allows it to come out of it. Yeah, and then actually the next set's actually going to be a lot more focused. So really be kind of honest with yourself as you do it. And I've lost it. Yeah, already on the first one. Yeah, so just play with it a little bit, but don't. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't want to stop myself on purpose. Hello, sorry. But I do want to be really sensitive to my distractions with it. And when I go like suboptimal, I really want to kind of not train that way. There we go. Okay, perfect. We'll do a few with these. So find now 2 points which are on a line. So in this case, I've got a point on the door here, and I've got a point on the wall here. So I'm going to do the Zengo to it. So again, just really find the focus here. Focus in. Now the tricky part is shifting the focus and realigning to it. Yeah, so shifting it, realigning to it, and I've lost it. Yeah, so I pull out of it and then go back. So use that Zengo gear, really easy form to kind of work with, but focus on one thing. Here I've got the light switch, and as you rotate, focus to another thing. If I have a really clear focus, 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 focus. Yeah, and when you lose it, just stop. Give it a try. Bernie, thank you very much. Very good. And notice how really easy it is to get kind of lost with this one. There we go. Nice. So there we go. Very good. Okay. Okay, we'll bring the back direction in, but it deals with another kind of issue. So what we're going to do is stay with the kind of front position first, but deal with different levels now. So shifting the attention basically up and down, but again, kind of tracking different points of focus now. So in this case, I'm going to kind of go for the light switch here, and I'm going to change sides, and then I'm going to go for the socket here, and then I'm going to change sides, and I'm going to go for the bottle, and I'm going to change sides, and I'm going to go for the light switch. Yes, sir. Play with a little bit different levels, up, down, middle, but again, shifting the focus. And again, as soon as you feel like I'm distracted in between, or as I go, or I'm kind of looking for something as I go, just come out of it. Yeah, pull yourself out and then come back into it. So exploring now different levels, and use the 𝘭𝑰 to really find the target and then go to it. Use the 𝘭𝑰 to find the target and then go to it. First, kind of find 4 or 5 objects that you can kind of really clearly go towards. And that makes it a little bit easier. So. Yeah, so that's it. Okay. Nice. Yeah, good. Yeah, one thing with this is allow the body to kind of find a natural adjustment, which comes when you actually find the 𝘭𝑰. So give yourself time as you find it. So as I go into this, I'm going to go for the socket. What I really do is give the body time to find it this way. So allow the jaw to slide and naturally start to go towards it, and then there. So, and as I go for this position, give yourself time in the position of the 𝘭𝑰 to really kind of target it, and allow the body to naturally go into what it's going to do. So I'm giving the body a little bit of time to prepare before I go into the ski, and then the body's naturally going to start to go towards balance. If I don't do that, everything starts to kind of get pulled out a little bit. So you can do it, obviously you get really good at it. The adjustments can be made really on the fly, but in this case, really give yourself time to adjust and just check the position at the end. So the body's going to make a natural adjustment in terms of the legs, depending on how high or low it is. But again, really give yourself time to find the object first, and then just check the balance at the end of the ski. You've got focus, you've got balance, attention, all these things kind of coming together, but with a really simple movement. And that's the kind of value of these kind of very basic patterns. Live person. Yeah. Good. There you go. Good.
Michael,
Hello.
if you're aiming for low or high, when do you start your when you're in Kamae, are you actually, is the jo also in the low or high position, or is it still in a horizontal position?
If you're playing with this in terms of making the adjustment, what I would do is actually slightly adjust it down first. Yes, I've got a slightly lower position, so I'm going to go for the socket side. In terms of playing with that, I adjust it. In terms of having a partner, no. So if I've got a partner in front of me and I'm going to go for his knee, I don't go like this down to his knee first. It's a big sign I'm just about to go for his knee. Unless I'm going to trick him when I go for his knee, and then I go for his head this way. So unless I'm using like a tactic to kind of trick them. But in terms of when we do partner practice, then I'm going to be in a really neutral position in terms of the kamae. And then when I go for the knee, I just go for the knee that way and make the adjustment.
How does it look if you? Yeah, I get it now. So for training, you point towards it, you get ready towards the object. But in training, you're still in neutral. Can I just see how it looks if you're in neutral and then going up to like a Chudan level?
Chudan?
Yeah, slightly.
What's a Jodan? Going high. Yeah, so if I'm like here, I'll go like here. Now this is really, that's too high. I wouldn't really attack that level. Let's say I'm going to attack the bars on the wall. Then I go into that position. So the main adjustment here is from that, and then just releasing into it this way. The key adjustment here is actually that the back leg's going to be a little bit more sunken into the ground, which is the opposite of what's happening because everything's coming up. That tends to happen, and I need to really get a sense that I'm able to settle down into the back foot.
Okay, brilliant.
But play with it a little bit when you're practicing this. Play with making a little bit of adjustment before you go, and then the body's actually going to kind of slightly adjust before it. And then that position is actually easier to find. But yeah, ideally I want to go from like neutral to any kind of position.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So kind of no fixed rule in this case. Okay, good. So we'll go into the kind of working with Yushiro speed. So this is a great one for working with like peripheral focus in this sense. So we'll go back to the Zengo form. So again, find those 2 points of focus that we had before working with Zengo, this and this, but we're going to add the Yushiro in. So the key focus now is this pattern's really clear in terms of attention, focus, and then the next one, this, is a little bit less clear. And you're really using, in this case, the peripheral vision and your kind of wider attention. So you've got a feeling something's behind, and then you're just going towards it, okay? And then from here, you're really finding the focus at the front, thrusting towards it, and then down here. So the peripheral vision is really being used down the line of the jaw, and then coming here. But I need just as much focus, if not more, than when I'm doing it in terms of actually looking directly towards it. So in this case, you're in your peripheral vision, and just again get a sense of how much you can see out of it. So using the kind of corner of your eye, basically. That's it. That's it. Oh, there we go. Oh. So just play a little bit this one. Just take the jo in one side, so it's already kind of in the Ushiro position. Now just kind of turn around the room a little bit. Just until something really catches your eye, so something kind of in the corner of the eye, and then go towards it. Okay. So in this case, the light kind of catching my attention, so just go towards it, and then just kind of maintain that sense of peripheral. What I don't want to do in this move is actually keep it in the peripheral and then turn towards it in that case. You can do that, that's an option, but I won't basically, if I was to do that, the whole body would kind of adjust back into it. So just play with this, have the jo in a prepared for the shiro, ski, and just kind of move around. Something catches your attention, just in the corner of the eye, and just go towards it. And then come out of it. And play with this both sides. So kind of just allowing the kind of natural innocent curiosity of the eyes, just to find something, and then let the whole body find it with this key. If we could, maybe we could. Okay, so just play that's a few minutes with all these ideas. So you've got basically having one simple target, just thrusting towards it. Just thrusting towards it. So if I really feel like kind of the attention's going, I just go back to that and it's a really kind of clear want to go to it. The other one is shifting the side as you maintain one point of focus. Then the other is shifting the point of focus as you do that, but keeping everything in the front, shifting up and down naturally. And then the last one from that is to start to work in the 𝘭𝘪𝘭𝘪, working in the peripheral kind of focus. And then going into it. But again, be really strict with yourself. If you lose attention, if you kind of drift out, you get distracted by a dog barking or something, drop out of it, give yourself a bit of space, and then come back into it there. So really kind of keeping that sharp focus through the ski work. Hold. Okay, good. And then this one's a little bit more, again, it's a little bit more of a restriction, but it's a one you can play with. So starting in a neutral position, so with the jo at the side. Now choose like 4 things that I'm going to kind of go towards. So I go like, okay, charger, bell, plant. Okay, and then I go and I do it. Charger, bell, plant. And then I come back out of it. And then I might choose the same in a different order, or I might choose two totally different objects, okay? But have a kind of set, stop, pause, think, this. You don't have to point to them, well, you can point to them, it kind of helps. This, okay? And then I just do it. This. And just again, look at the quality of the attention as you do it. Okay, so have a really clear thing and do it. It's like having a to-do list and then never doing it. Kind of get the list, do it, and then finish it. There we go. Very nice. Good. Good, and that's it. We'll just release out a little bit. So just find the shoulder width. Yeah, and just find a little bit of an impulse. And just start with the shoulders, just releasing them out. The elbows, wrists. Release the fingers a little bit. Wiggle the fingers a little bit. Release the hips. Roll the legs a little bit. Shake out the head. Yep, and just take it back into the whole body. And just settle it down. Good. Great, good. Right. Domo arigato.
Domo arigato. Just my shot.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Oh, hello. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.